Hey, it's Matt Pinfield. This is KLOS New and Approved. Really excited to have a band that I've loved for over 20 years. They've been together 21, and we're going to talk to them right now. It's Collective Soul. Guys, good to see you.
Good to see you, buddy.
Thanks for taking the time out. I know you're working on a new record, and it's just, it's amazing to me. I was listening to Vibrating, the 11th album that you guys have released, and I love that song, Cut the Cord. There's so many good songs on that record, and you just continuously write and put out great music, and have from the very beginning of the band. So it's exciting to have you on and get to have you on my KLOS show. Talk to me about what you guys are up to right now, because you are literally you're recording a new record, which is exciting. You're working on your 12th album, and can you tell me where you are, because there's some significance to where you guys are doing this record.
A little bit, yeah. So look over there. Look over there. Yeah, we're at Elvis Presley's house in Palm Springs. He owned two houses when he passed. He had Graceland, and he had this house that we're in Palm Springs, and we're recording a record here.
Yeah, how do you like? I mean, that's great to actually be part of. Elvis's birthday just passed recently, and he's. There wouldn't be rock and roll without Elvis. I mean, obviously there are a lot of people that inspired him from the R&B world, but, Elvis is one of the all-time greats. And, anybody who says any less is wrong, and I'm at odds with them if they do, because I love Elvis. So tell me about the decision to record there.
Yeah, I met the owner of the house about 4 years ago. We were talking about doing like a Daryl's House type thing where people would come in and play Elvis songs and then promote their new songs, and then the pandemic happened, so everything kind of shut down from there. And then I called him up, and we're a really strange band that actually love and enjoy each other's company. So we were January when nothing was going on, and so I called him. I was like, can we come and record in Elvis's house? And Tim was unbelievable, just allowed us to do it. Like, we're in Elvis's house and I spent the night in his bedroom where he spent his last birthday on his birthday. So it was one of those emotional things, because we grew up loving Elvis, especially being from the South and Southern boys. Elvis was a big part of not only our generation, but our parents' generation, which influenced us to search and look for other artists from that. Does that make sense? It's like the keep a tread on the tire. And so it's just a wonderful opportunity. So that's what we're doing the whole month. We're here doing some shows, but also just recording here in Elvis's house, where he actually recorded, lived, and we're the first ones to be able to do it.
Yeah, Palm Springs is beautiful, and just the Elvis history is unbelievable. It's it all starts. The Beatles said it. They said before Elvis there was nothing, and Tom Petty got to meet him when he was a kid on one of the. I think it was in the Tom Petty documentary on the set of Speedway down in Florida.
When he's down in Florida. Yeah, that's right.
So Elvis has touched everybody's lives, no matter what. As far as I'm concerned, and I'm always been a fan. I even loved the movies that some people thought were cheesy, and the ones there were. People didn't realize he was actually a great actor. If you see movies like King Creole and even Jealous Rock, he could actually act. I mean, certainly when they were churning out movies later, he was kind of like under contract, but he was talented all around, and I'm glad that he's getting credit, and a new generation's discovering him through that movie that just came out with Baz Luhrmann,
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, once again, he's not called the king for no reason. He was the king, and he was the first one that had to experience the excess and craziness of rock and roll, or stardom. Like he.
Did you like the movie, Matt?
I did like it. I thought the ending was a little long, in all honesty. Yeah. I mean, I was my whole feeling was anything that could bring more awareness of Elvis to a younger generation is always a great thing, because I've always been a fan since I was a little boy. So I thought, of course, he died when I was a young teen. But I did enjoy it. I thought the ending was a little long, but what did you think of it?
It was sad to me. Like you felt that they brought the aspect of like how lonely it is when you're that famous and you really can't do anything and you can't escape the image of what you've created.
Yeah.
And I found that in. I'm like, God, that is.
You know, it's an amazing thing. Once I'll tell you guys too that you know, Peter Frampton was, you know, when he got really big in the 1970s and Frampton Comes Alive, there was a time when he didn't want to hear his music anymore, and it was just felt like he was out there all by himself. And David Bowie said to him, he said, you know, you were like strapped to a rocket by yourself, shot up to the moon. At least the Beatles had each other. You know what I mean? At that period of time when they went through that whole thing together.
Yeah.
But he did.
George Harrison said that. He mentioned that about Elvis. He was talking about like the Beatles, as crazy as it was, they had each other during that rise. And then they found each other's individuality.
Right.
But he was like, Elvis had nobody.
Yeah.
It was just him.
And that's it. You know, I mean, I had some friends that were lifelong, like Jerry Schilling, guys like that, who I know Jerry pretty well, you know. But it's an amazing thing. And you were right. I love what you touched on. I mean, he went through everything for everybody else first. I mean, like you talked about the excesses, but also the greatness, the rise, like everything. He experienced everything first. He was the first true rock star, superstar. I mean, you know, of course, there were pop stars. Frank Sinatra was one of the greatest. But, you know, when it came to rock and roll, I mean, Elvis wrote the book on it. And he also had to, you know, experience a lot of the things that people go through before anybody really knew and understood what it was all about, you know. So,
but he also, in his career, he was the first one to experience, like, the downside of it. He had to rebuild his career, re-image himself. Like, it's a lesson that any band, even like us, that have to go, wait a second, okay, we can't rely on what happened 30 years ago. We gotta focus what's happening now. And he was the initiator. And Frank Sinatra did it too. But did it in movies more than he did in music.
From Here to
Elvis,
Eternity, that was
right. From Here to Eternity, which was movies. So Frank did it in movies. Elvis came back, you know, kind of kicking ass in music.
He really did. You know, when he came back a couple times, you know, with the comeback special
He
in
kicked
68.
back all the time.
Yeah.
He was doing karate in this room next to us.
He was. That's incredible. I love that. Guys, you know, Vibrating was a great record. And, you know, here we are getting ready to do, you're working on it as we speak, the 12th album. Can we talk about this? What's the concept? Are you going to be doing some originals, some covers? Because you talked about the thing that you wanted to do, the Elvis House thing. Was there? What is it? Something you can talk about now, or do you want to wait, Ed?
No, I think we can talk about now. When it came up really quick, and thank God for Greg, because I was like, there's no way we're going to do this without documenting this. You know, being first band in Elvis's house and sleeping in the house, and he was awesome. Like, so we started coming up with ideas, and then creatively we talked as a band. The boys are living in Burt Lancaster's house here, so there's that From Here to Eternity vibe.
Which
so
one of my favorite movies as well, by the way. I love that film.
Really? Yeah.
So we came up with the title Here to Eternity.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we feel we've come from, you know, and we're going to keep moving till good Lord says, hey. So we decided we'd make one side rock and then one side more acoustic. I want to use, I mean, Sean's in there right now, more Wildflowers, Petty vibe, you know, Southern feel, like, because we're Southern boys, and just kind of more relaxed. Is that fair enough to say, guys?
Yeah.
So, and so it's got its own vibe, and it's the most enjoyable record I've ever made with you guys. I gotta be honest with you, like, it's just been special.
You're welcome,
man.
Yeah. Hey, it's great too that you're doing some shows while you're here too, because we're excited that the Anaheim show is coming up. It's right here. Want to let our listeners know that they can get tickets to that show and should go check it out, because I know they're going fast. But you know, I love that you guys have such an arsenal of great songs to choose from. If you go all the way back 21 years, and you look at of the songs, I mean, and you know, I was just having a conversation with Keith Cunningham, our program director, and talking to Greg Richling, who's working on your doc. I was saying, you realize how many great songs those guys wrote and how many #1 hits they had, and just like how they continue to write great stuff. Is it crazy looking back on that experience of being in Stockbridge, and then making that move to Atlanta? And can you talk about that? Can we talk about that first initial move when you did the Hints album and you realized something was starting to happen with Shine? Can we talk about that?
It's funny because we're doing the documentary, and I had to do an interview last night about that. It's really hard to even think about, because it was so much going on so fast, if that makes sense. Like we got flown up to Atlantic, we got signed to Atlantic, flew back. We did Woodstock '94. We're on tour with Aerosmith, and at that point we were considered a one-hit wonder, and there was talk in the Atlantic. I had gotten word that 2 people were going to be the president, and if one of them got it, we were going to be dropped. So every day off we had, we went to a studio. I mean that record
was the blue record that
the blue record, the second record. So I was like, all right, guys, let's every day off, and we learned the songs at sound check. I'd write them in the back of the bus, whatever,
We played them in the show.
We played them in the show without me having lyrics. We did it at Woodstock. I mean, actually, that's where some of the lyrics from Gel came out, because I was just spewing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough. We haven't thought about it because we've kept so busy, but it's kind of fun to reimagine. But there's not much memory there other than just going, I can't remember.
I remember us being confident in ourselves, and we wanted to record more music. We just kept wanting to record more music.
Right. Well, we didn't want to get dropped.
Right.
Like we wanted to make a record real quick and see what we had. Truly, the first record of Collective Soul was
Going around the house with a pickle in her mouth.
And you look back now, and the hits on the record, that blew up from that record. I mean, December and World I Know, and Where the River Flows, always one of my favorites. Another #1 rock single, which I've always told you guys that story, and I know you remember this, that I was doing that big Metallica contest, and I was with those guys. We were playing pool in Aberdeen, Washington, and we put Where the River Flows on the jukebox, and James Hetfield and Lars Ulrich looked at me and they went, "Now that's a great rock riff, man. This is great." And we were that gave us more energy. We were playing pool. We'd been shooting all day, like with the winners of the Motherload contest, and there we were playing pool and rocking out to your CD on the jukebox, and Where the River Flows, and just kept playing it. It was so funny, and those guys loved it.
Did you take their money? Did you win?
Hetfield won. He did. Hetfield won, but I beat Lars. So there you go. So it was cool. So you know what I mean? That was it. But it was cool. I'll never forget that. We played basketball that day. Hetfield beat me at that. I mean, I'm not a tall guy, but it was funny. We were doing everything with these winners. But I always think of that trip, and I think about Where the River Flows every time. Not every time I hear it because I love it, but I mean, it'll always be there in my memory, and I love it. And all of a sudden, there's a label thinking you guys are a one-hit wonder, and then you have 5 hits off your next album, right, guys? I mean, it was unbelievable. And then we worked together on the next record. Precious Declaration was another #1 hit, and Heavy on Dosage. I mean, there were so many great tracks, and it was one of those things. You guys you've been through so much, on so many different levels. That's why I think this documentary is so important, because it's going to show this journey and the perseverance that you guys have as a band. Because I think a lot of stuff's going to come out in this doc that I don't even have to cover here, because I'm going to leave it as a surprise for people when they see what you've been through as a band. But it's amazing the way you guys have persevered on and continue to be a great band and friends, and there's a love there. And that's cool. I mean, it's just one of the greatest things.
Hopefully it inspires young kids to do this. I mean, you're going to run into trouble no matter what relationship you're in. And a band's no different than a marriage or a friendship. It's but hopefully this inspires young kids to do the rock and roll thing.
And people ask us often, like, how do you stay together? How have you stayed together this long? And it really, in my opinion, it comes down to we're just sharing the joy of music. We literally obviously we as humans we agree more than we disagree, but the joy of making music and playing music together and just listening to music, it really is that simple that we just share that passion.
Did I tell you Johnny and I had a dance off yesterday?
Yeah, what'd you dance to?
For 20 minutes, I set up a record player in the Elvis's party room, and Johnny and I danced for 20 minutes. Are you sore?
A little bit.
What did you guys dance to? I want to know what record you guys played.
Yep.
Were you playing multiple songs, or what were you playing to your?
We took turns on who put songs on. It went from Van Halen, Cars. What else did we put on there?
Oh, we listened to the new Driving and Crying.
Driving and Crying.
Little Kevin Kinney, that's great, man. You got to do it for Georgia, guys. You know.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I was born in Athens, and Georgia just won. You know, I was really happy to see that. Of course, they did.
Yeah,
I was born in Athens, Georgia. Yeah. My dad went to UGA, and I was born there. And the first picture in the nursery was taken by Fran Tarkington. Actually, he was friends with my dad.
Wow.
So it's it's not a very much of an action shot. It's like me in like one of those glass cage things. But I mean, the fact that it was Fran Tarkington, and his wife used to send me swag and stay in touch with my dad, through letters and stuff, and we'd go see the Giants. And of course, I was in the Vikings. I was a Vikings fan too, but Bulldogs, So I thought, but I love Georgia, so I didn't know you guys didn't know I was born there because
I did. I knew because you and I talked about that.
Yeah, but got that history. You know what I mean? My sister was born at Albany, Georgia, or Albany, depending on how you like to pronounce it.
Albany.
So, yeah. We got a Georgia connection there too, guys, without a question, and
Awesome.
so got a lot of love for there. In fact, the rest of my family, only one daughter and I live out here in California. Everybody else is in the South. Everybody went back south. So,
really?
Yeah. Well, they're in Florida, most of them. One of my daughters is there in school and college, and then my mom is in Florida. My sister and her family, my brother and her and his family. So everybody returned to the South, which is cool. And I'm going to be there this weekend, so I'm excited. I'm going to go see my daughter. But I want to, guys.
What part of Florida are you going?
She's in Jacksonville.
Okay.
And I go see my kid there all the time, and so I'm going down there. I shot a movie with John Doe like 3.5 years ago from X. You know how you've seen him in Roadhouse and a ton of movies. I did a remake of DOA, this 1940s film noir movie. And I'm not saying I'm an actor. My friend just believed I could do this role as a police captain, which is a main role in it. And so it's really cool. It's playing it's all over the festivals, and it's doing really well. And I haven't seen it yet, so I'm going to go see it with my daughter, which would be cool, Hopefully I don't suck, but we'll see. But regardless, guys, I'm pumped about this album, and I'm glad you guys are taking the time to do shows in California while you're here and do some shows in the area. You know what I mean? I think,
Thank you.
Arizona, California.
That's what keeps the core going. I mean, once again, playing live is what this band's about. I mean, we love recording, but you have to have that. It's like the workout. You got to go work out, man. You got to go play live. Yeah, you really do, and it's great. And that's one of the things you guys have always done great live, and I'm excited about this new record. I just, I wanted to make sure that I had you guys, when I knew you guys were coming to town, I'm like, gotta have the boys on. I was excited about it. So I know I'm going to be seeing you soon, and, I just wanted to thank you for coming by, and we're, again, we're amazing. We're celebrating, it's 21 years now the band's been together, correct? It's like, is it not? A little longer than that, buddy.
Yeah, was it? Like
almost 31.
Oh, yeah. So, you mean you started 30? Wait, what am I saying? 21. You're right. I was around in the 90s. I should know that. I should learn how to count. What's wrong? What the fuck is wrong with me? No. Anyway.
I got to tell you something, Matt. I don't know if you remember the first time we met, we were in New York and we were talking to you, and you were like, you guys need to do a cover. So we're doing Elvis covers, and I was like, well, what cover do you think we should do, Matt? And you go, Jet, Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
Hope you remember that. And I was like, that is the perfect song for this band.
Absolutely.
So we may do that just for you.
That would be amazing, because I always thought Jet would be great by you guys. I love that tune. I know you could rock that, man, I'm not
There you
sure he
go.
could do it well. Could do it well, but I know you
we'll
could.
see what happens this month here at Elvis's house. Maybe do a little Paul McCartney for you here. Get a little jet for you.
That'd be great, man. I would love that. Guys, I want to thank you for doing this today and stop taking time out of your recording and your dancing as well. To come out.
That's Rab. Rab, get in here.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah, that's it, man. I've got I would like. I got to see. I don't know if it'll make the doc, but I definitely am excited to see it. Maybe one of these days I'll make it down there with you guys to the house. But I gotta say,
hold on 1 second before you go. Rab's gonna give you a little dance move. Let's go, Rab. Give it to him, Rab.
There we go. You got it done, man. It's got the 80s groove going on, and I like it. Or 70s, but it works. I love it. Guys.
Late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah, late 70s, early 80s. That's what I was thinking. But guys, it was so great to have you on. Thanks so much for checking in, and I'll be seeing you guys soon, all right?
Thank you so much, Matt.
Thank you,
I love you, buddy.
You got it. Thanks so much. Much love to you. Collective Soul, everybody. Don't forget that show's coming up this week at Anaheim on the 26th. So make sure you check it out. I'm Matt Pinfield. You're listening to KLOS and watching. I'll be back with you soon.